Okay, I'll give you a thumbs up. About almost there. Yes, I think yes, we're live now.
Great. So we're live now. Namaste, Yash ji. How are you?
Namaste. I'm very well. How are you, sir?
Very well. Pleasure to have one of our ex-Karmavir Youth Fellows back on this forum at the Youth Experience Conversations, along with our co-founder, Mr. Nishant Sharma.
Thank you
And
so much for having me.
how's it been going?
It's been going very well, and especially for today's interview, I'm extremely very excited.
Okay. Okay. We are also excited to have you on board. And it's been almost 9 months, I think, since you were given your fellowship.
Yeah, last
October 2019.
September.
Yeah. So in the
October. Yeah,
conversations
October.
that we are doing, the experience conversations, we have the youth experience where we are bringing our youth fellows like you. We have the
Yes.
learning experience conversations where we have E2, our co-founder, moderating and conducting and
Yes, yes.
facilitating those conversations with teachers and educators from schools across India and the world over. And then we have the
Yes, yes.
Inspire Experience Conversations, which is all our Karmavir Award recipients over the years who are doing
Okay.
phenomenal work to make a difference in the world. So that's the reason we started the conversations. And like I was telling you before we went off online, before we went live, that the intent of the conversations is not to just have razzmatazz and faff, but to have some
Exactly,
serious,
exactly.
serious subject matter and content. So the intent and content is very robust, right? Content
Yeah,
which adds value, creates value for the listener and the
true.
audience so that they
That
can
is
learn from
very
that
true.
and get good insight for their life and leadership lessons. So over to
That
you,
is
Nishant Sharma. I'll become a fly on the wall now and join you again in the last 15 minutes.
All right. So thank you so much, Jay sir, for that introduction. Namaste, everyone. Namaste, Jay sir.
Namaste.
Namaste, Yash. Namaste to all our viewers out there who are watching this live session. So today we are in conversation with our youth fellow, Yash Tiwari. And I'm just going to give a little brief for the people who don't know Yash. So Yash Tiwari is a four-time TEDx speaker, a Josh Talk speaker at the age of 18. He's a young published novelist from Kanpur, youth mentor with internationally acclaimed and awarded debut novel, A Celebration in Tribulation, written at the age of 16. He's also authored Pandemic 2020, and he's here with us now. So I think let's hear it from you, Yash. Why don't you share your introduction? If I missed out anything else, why don't you cover it up?
So, namaste, everyone. And first of all, thank you so much, Rex, for having me once again for this session today. Yes, you have, I think, summed up pretty much an overview of who I am right now. However, apart from that, at the age of 18 right now, I'm working as an international youth mentor where I get to reach out to people. I wouldn't say just kids or younger generation, but even people from all walks of life, from different age groups about various creative fields. My primary focus is on the creative part of a person's life, whether it is about creating stories, narratives, or building up narratives that impact the society in some way or the other. And as you briefly mentioned about Pandemic 2020, which is in fact my latest novel, which I have published last month only. It is one of world's first fiction novel based on the coronavirus outbreak that we are going through right now. And it is we can say a creative yet real account of what all has gone through in the past few months only, we can say. And yeah, that is pretty much whom I work as. However, of course, there is much more to any person's profile just apart from their achievements.
Lovely. So I hope, through this conversation today, we can understand a bit more about Yash, a bit more about your life story, the challenges you
Sure.
faced, and of course, lots to learn and a lot of young viewers watching us today. So hopefully, lots of insights that we could have from this conversation. All right, Yash. So first question for you was, now you started very young, right?
Yeah.
So, but let me take you a little. I want to understand. How was your childhood like? We're talking about when you were in school. Let's say fifth class, fourth
Yes,
class, or even
yes.
earlier than that. So, what is your
Yeah.
earliest memory as a child? What did Yash want to be as a child?
So, see, I can tell you very frankly that even as a very young boy, when I was just, I guess, 6 or 7 years old, I used to write a great deal of stories, poetries, and narratives, which in fact my parents used to upload on an online blog. And I know, of course, that is not something very big, but that was a beginning stage. That was the first step, I can say, towards whom I am right now. However, I think that was the point where the seeds of being a creative person were actually sown in my life. After that, I was very passionate about various other fields as well, whether it was about, becoming a doctor someday, or perhaps something of that sort, which is not that much creative, but something a little bit unique in the world of today. But over the course of time, I understood that whatever I want to do in life, I can do it anytime, anywhere, whenever I want. And that is when I understood that whatever I want to do in life, it has to have the dimensions of creativity in some way or the other. And I think that is when I started learning more about creativity.
Right, Yash. All right, so we're
So I
learning
think
about
I think Yash is having some
technical
internet
issues.
issues.
Right.
So
He's trying to
so
learn about his childhood. So, like all other kids, he too had lots of dreams. Comes
right,
from not
right,
a big city, but Kanpur still is very known. So I
right,
think
right, right. But
so. I would
yeah,
just
so
please
so
share, sir, as a child. I mean, what kind of dreams did you have while we have while Yash is joining back? Why didn't you share? That's something that we wanted to know.
I had no dreams. Yeah, I had nightmares. Right. So right. But the whole idea is that how do you? I mean, everybody has a dream. Like I always say, everybody has a dream. Even a auto rickshaw driver has a dream. Even Mungeri Lal had dreams, and even Sheikh Chili had dreams. But dreams are good only when you put them into action. Because if you're not putting them into action, and not just to put into action to create fame and glory for the self, but to add value and create value. So Yash is back.
Sir,
Yeah, Yash, I hope we don't have this internet problem again. Let's go forward. But
Right,
the image seems to be stuck again.
right, Yash. Are you there?
am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
I go back to becoming a fly on the wall.
So, Yash, you were talking about your
Hello?
childhood. So, yes, yes, we can hear you. So,
Yes,
now the
yes.
second
First of
question that I had for you, if you haven't completed that, you could
First of
complete
all,
that.
I'm very sorry for leaving so unexpectedly because the weather is quite cold here. So I just wanted to make sure that you can hear me and
Right,
see me.
right. Go ahead,
It's
Yash.
stormy over here, so there is. Yeah,
Right.
can you hear me and see me?
Yes,
Just
yes.
let me know once
I
so
can
that
hear
we can
you. We
proceed.
can't see you, but you can continue talking about your
Yeah.
childhood and your dreams and
Okay.
your education.
Yash, if you're having low internet bandwidth issues, then you can avoid the video and just we can have your picture up there and you can use the audio. Yash, are you with us? Yash,
No, no, it's fine.
I will reiterate. I think there is some bandwidth issue at your end, probably because of the weather or whatever. So you can just have your picture. You don't need the video and use the audio. Maybe that will give you better connectivity.
It's fine now. I think it's fine now. If you can hear me, I'll just proceed further.
Go ahead.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead with what you had to say, Yash.
Yes, yes. Go ahead. Yes, Yash, we can hear you.
Yeah, now it's working, right?
Yes, go
All
ahead.
right, wonderful. First of all, I'm really very sorry to all our viewers for this inconvenience. I did not expect this at all. Yeah. But anyway, as I was saying that earlier, when I was younger, I did have aspirations to do something in the field of medicine or perhaps something like that. But slowly and gradually, I understood that whatever I want to do in my life, it has to have the dimensions of creativity in some way or the other. And I think around the age of 16, that is when I became much surer of this particular fact for my own self. And yeah, after that, we know how the journey has been for me.
Yash, can you hear me? So please tell us about your education background. So how did what did you study?
Nishant, I cannot hear you. I think
Like,
you have
can you
put
hear me
yourself
now?
on mute as of now.
Right. So
Yeah.
Yash, can you hear me now?
Yes. Now I
Yeah.
can
What
hear you.
kind of subjects did you like
Surely,
growing up?
surely.
What kind of subjects did
So,
you not like growing up? And
so
have you
actually, the
currently
truth is
studied?
that yeah, I can hear you very properly now. So my yes, yes, you are very much audible.
I think there's a lag.
So the thing is that my academic background has been
All right. So I think Yash is facing some technical issues right now, but we are in conversation with Yash Tiwari. So we're trying to understand what made him become who he is today. And of course, being a young champion of change is not easy. You face a lot of resistance from your parents. It could be from society, from peer group, a lot of peer pressure. And I would like to, if Jerry sir is here, we could probably have a conversation with him as well while Yash comes back on.
Yes,
Right,
so I
sir.
think Yash is having some bandwidth problems. Unfortunately, when apologies to all our viewers that we are facing this because Yash has connected from someplace in Kanpur, and I think there's bad weather there because of which he's having some connectivity problems. But he seems to be coming back online, and
yeah. I'm
yes,
really very sorry. I cannot apologize enough for this right now, but we cannot do anything for the weather, can we? So that is what is causing the issue as of now. But anyway, as I was saying that
Go
my
ahead. Tell me about your education.
yeah. So as I was saying that my academic background I'm doing at the moment because I used to be a science student about, I thought that this is something which I needed, but not enough to perhaps pursue a career in my life ahead. Let's say just because I was a student of biology, so I had to continue with biology. That was not the case with me. I wanted to pursue a career in something which I was interested in, but that is not the case with me, and that is something which I in fact preach to other youngsters around me as well, that your academic have for sure in your future ahead. So recently only, in fact last year, I have started in mass communication Kanpur because I feel that this particular academic field aligns very well with my passion for public speaking and even creating stories. So that is what I'm doing as of now academically.
All right. So, were you a good student, or are you a good student? You'd say.
Yeah, so I was actually a 90% scorer in class 12th and a 92% scorer in class 10th. As for
That's
mass
pretty good.
communication, the exams have been in such a way that we have still not received our result, as you already
All
know. So I
right.
cannot say for sure.
Right, Yash. So now tell me, when was the first thought that came to your mind about becoming an author? What was the story like? Why did you want to?
Yeah.
And yeah, tell me more about that.
So as I already said that since a very long time, since as long as I can remember, I have been creating a lot many stories and poetries and stuff like that. But since childhood,
Right. Since childhood, you've been writing, and you always had that creative inclination.
but we had this period of break between my class 11th final exams and the beginning of class 12th, which was doing something that furthers my passion for creating stories. The topic, the story of Ilma Zaidi was this. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. Go ahead, Yash. We can hear you and we can see you.
Okay. All right. So as I was saying that that was the time when I decided to conceptualize about the story of this young girl. And I researched about the disease called the syphilis. Has never been the central focus of any fictional novel, at least by that time. And yeah, that was particular young girl story along with the medical to start writing about the syphilis. And I felt to start writing about the syphilis because I felt that this is something which is very writing a novel even at that young age was my will to create a conversation about something that a lot many people are not aware about. Let's say this particular disease aware about or had idea about, but I wanted to present it in everyone.
Yes, yes. Okay, we can hear you. Go ahead. So now the question was,
All
what was
right.
your? Now you started pretty young. What was your parents' reaction to all of this? You starting young and
Yeah.
becoming a young author. How did your parents? Because do you come from a conservative
Yeah.
family, or you say they're
No,
pretty liberal?
not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, the fact that I was delivering my TED talk right in between of my board's examination tells us how very conservative they were actually. But yeah, they have been very supportive in everything that I have been doing so far. Even for my novel, I remember very distinctly that they were not aware about the fact that I was writing a novel at the age of 16. It was only after I had finished writing the manuscript when I truly told them about it that I was writing a novel at the age of 16. It was only after I had finished writing the manuscript when I truly told them about it. Whether it is about my talks or sessions or any kind of field I want to pursue in future, I know that they are going to be there for me for sure.
All right. So as an author, it's pretty common to have these creative blocks. Now, did you face any of these challenges having a creative block, or what were the challenges you faced while writing this first novel of yours, the debut novel? Yes, Yash. You can hear me, right? You can hear me, right?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah. So, what were the challenges you faced while writing your debut novel? Did you have any creative blocks or any kind of other challenges that you'd like to share? All right. So today is not a really good day. We are having a couple of. Yes, Yash, you're back on. Nothing comes easy. Full of challenges. Yash, am I audible to you? Yes, Yash. We were talking about your challenges while writing the debut novel.
Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
All right. So, talking about the challenges in my life, I would definitely have to pick up the point of youthism and reverse ageism, which I have felt time and again in whatever kind of endeavor I have been picking up. Because, of course, when we talk about conferences like TED or perhaps Josh Talk, there is going to be some or the other person in the audience who is going to think that how can a person of this young age deliver a talk to them and address them in a way that he's presenting his or her experience to them. For me, that has been one thing which I have experienced to a great deal in my life so far. But every time when I have faced the challenge of youthism and reverse ageism, which is simply a prejudice based on a person's age, we can say, I have answered back not in the form of words or perhaps in the form of an argument, I would say, but in the form of my work, in the form of the action that I do through my work. The best way I would say in order to beat any kind of prejudice in this world is by doing something remarkable that tells the people that no matter where you are coming from or how young you are or what all you have done in past, if you have the capacity and potential to do it right now, there can be no prejudice in this world that can demean you or perhaps pull you down. So that is one thing which I have always lived by in my life, and I will always live by in my life in future as well.
That's fantastic. So I think, especially being a young influencer, being young, I think, especially in the social media world, there is a lot of hate out there. There are a lot of non-believers and haters. But that's the best way to, I think, rise above, which is by
Exactly.
work. Great. So tell us more about your, you mentioned your TED talk. So how was the first talk like? Were you nervous? And you rocked it pretty much.
See, I'll tell you very honestly, there was no room for being nervous in my mind at all because I was so excited. Like, just think about it. At the age of 16, delivering your TED talk, that is also scheduled right in between of your board's examination. Like, I had my chemistry exam for boards, then I had my TED talk, and then on the very next day, I had my physics exam. So you can imagine the thrill of all of it. But at the same time, there, as I said earlier, there was no room for nervousness in my mind at all because I was so very excited and thrilled about the fact that yes, I am finally getting to go on the stage and address people on a global platform. And more than that, this is one thing which I believe a lot many people do want to hear about and do want an answer for, that how do we actually beat that stage fright, that nervousness which a lot many people face when they get on a stage, let alone whether it is about TED Talk or perhaps any small stage actually. So the best way in order to beat that, we can say, stage fright and that nervousness whenever you are getting on a stage, is to remember that you are only going to converse with the people in front of you. You are only going to have a two-way conversation with them, just like you have you with your friends. You are not going to address them. You are not going to deliver a one-way or a simplex speech. You are going to have a duplex conversation with them in a way that you are going to converse with them and connect with them. And when you remind yourself that today you are just going to have a talk with them, you are just going to converse with them, you are just going to have an interactive discussion, trust me, there will be no means of nervousness or anxiety building up in your mind whatsoever. This is a practical, proven, and self-experienced example that I'm citing right now.
Lovely. So now I think you pretty much are taking a liking to speaking right from that first experience, and I think you do call yourself a motivational speaker. So how is that? How is that experience being a motivational speaker? What does it mean, and how do you go about that, and
So
why?
more than motivational speaker, I would call myself a youth mentor, because that is what I'm primarily working towards. Now, when we use the word motivation, we have to understand that it is a very subjective term. You can have a lot many people who claim themselves to be the motivation speakers, yet their subject matter might be something that you are already aware about. So, of course, there might be people who are saying something that you are aware about. There might be people who are saying something unique that you are getting to learn something from. It totally depends from person to person how much impacted and influenced they are feeling by somebody who is delivering, let's say, a motivational talk or an inspirational talk as such. However, for myself, I wouldn't call my talks or sessions or workshops to be primarily motivational, because whatever I do, whether it is about a simple talk of 15 minutes or perhaps a workshop of 2 hours or 3 hours, they are based on practical experiments and practical activities that everyone can participate in. So for me, it wouldn't be a one-way motivational talk that I deliver usually. For me, being a youth mentor is about getting to connect with people who are willing to learn something, who are willing to learn something from not just my own experience, but even from the people around them. That is what true motivation is about, and not just delivering a one-way talk. That is what I would like to call it.
That does make sense, I'd say. I'll give you that. Right. So yeah, sure. So you spoke about mentorship. So you do mentor a lot of mentees as well, right?
Yeah,
So tell us about that
exactly.
experience. How does it feel like
Surely.
to be responsible for someone's growth? How does it feel like to, mentor people and actually make an impact on people's lives, and when have people look up to you? So how is the whole mentorship experience? Tell us more about that. Why did you want to
For
do
me,
it? And how is it?
yeah. So for me, it has always been something that I'm very happy about. I never feel proud about it, because I do not intend to feel proud about anything that I do or anything that I want to do in future. But for sure, I feel extremely happy and grateful about the platform that I have in order to reach out to people from all walks of life and all around the world. Like right now, also I'm working with My Captain, which is a venture incubated by IIM Bangalore and in fact recognized by United Nations. And there, I get to mentor even hundred upon thousands of mentees every month about pursuing the field of creative writing as something that they're passionate about, but also for creating stories that does impact the lives of the people all around the world. So, of course, when I'm in a position like that, I do feel that there is a sense of responsibility on my shoulders, that I'm not just mentoring them about how to go through this workshop, but also about the stories that they will be creating in, let's say, 10 years from now on, or even 20 years from now on. So definitely there is this sense of good responsibility, delight in responsibility that I always feel on my shoulders, which I am extremely very grateful for, and I'm very happy about that I do have a platform for it to reach out to people from all walks of life.
Right. So, question to you is: so if someone does want to, firstly, it has two parts. First question is: do you think anyone can be an author? Do you think anyone can be a motivational speaker? And secondly, if someone wants to begin and do it, how do they go about it?
Anyone can be anyone as long as they have a dedication and passion for it. Let's say that there is this hypothetical person named Ajay. I'm just taking a hypothetical example over here. And Ajay want to become a motivational speaker or an author, but he himself is not motivated. He himself does not have that sense of dedication and passion and motivation within his own self that he's trying to preach to others. So do you think that in the long run his career as a motivation speaker will work out? Of course not. So whether it will work out or not, that is totally subjective, and that totally depends from varies from person to person that we're talking about. There might be someone who actually is motivated enough to inspire others, and that person will be able to take it ahead. There might be another person who is just doing that for the sake of it, and he might not be able to take it ahead. So that varies from person to person. However, if you are just let's say willing to start somewhere, if you just want to begin somewhere and you want the first step, then the first step would definitely be to conceptualize. Whether it is about motivational speaking or about becoming an author, you cannot just start away. Like even for my mentees that I get to mentor every month, whenever they ask me that how do we truly begin with writing this novel or the story that we have in mind, I always tell them that the first step to start creating a story is not to create the story at all. It sounds very, I can say, complex to understand, but the truth is that if you just start writing the first page of your novel, or if you just start delivering the first dialogue that you want to deliver to the people out there, it will not work out until and unless you have a strong concept in your mind. So the first step should always be of conceptualization. You need to understand your own depths. You need to understand the gravity of the subject that you're picking up, for whether you are talking about a talk or perhaps a novel that you want to write in future. But the first step should always be a great deal of conceptualization and planning out the outlining part of whatever you want to do. And trust me, it is not just about being an author or being a public speaker. Even for a general startup that you want to start, or perhaps an initiative that you want to begin with, you need to have a proper concept note in your mind. Because until and unless you have a proper concept note in your mind, you will face a lot many hurdles, not in the external world, but even psychologically in your own mind. You will not know how to proceed further whenever there is even a simple blockade in between. Like you must be knowing the term of writer's block. You must be knowing about that. That a lot many authors face this writer's block when they are writing or creating a story. Why does that happen? Because they do not have a clarity in their mind about how to proceed on with the plot. They have not even outlined everything that they want to write about, let alone have a basic plot line in their mind. So for sure, whether it is about public speaking or writing a story or any other creative field, you need to begin with conceptualization. That is the first step.
Right. So Yash, do you also think as fast as you speak?
I
Uh,
guess maybe that is why I'm writing books at the age of 18.
Lovely. So Yash, your energy is very magnetic, I'd like to say, and very
Thank you
infectious.
so much.
So, but tell me, Yash, about the low points. Do you feel, anxiety? Do you feel some kind of depression at times? Have you gone through any of such periods? Tell me about those low
There
points
have
as
been.
because of course, being
Definitely
a
there.
motivational speaker, being an author, being a mentor, I mean, you do have to put on a happy face
Sure.
and be all charged up all the time. But what about your low points? Tell us, share more about those two.
In fact, there has been a very, we can say, elaborate phase in my life, which was all about all these things that you have listed out. And my Josh talk was all about that as well. That when I was in class 7th and 8th, I used to be this introverted kid who did not know even how to interact with people around him or even answer back to the teacher who might be asking some or the other question. But I finally decided in the long run that that is not going to help me in any way. That is not going to work out if I have, let's say, some or the other creative passion within me. Even if I am passionate about creating stories or creating poetry or whatever that might have been back then, I have to do that along with a sense of self transformation as well. As long as I am keeping myself active in the real world, I will be able to take my passions ahead. If I do not do that, I will not be able to do that. So I was feeling that my anxieties and nervousness was somewhere down the line pulling me down in my own life, even at that young age. And I decided that self transformation is the only way with which I can come out of my shell, with which I can decide that yes, no matter how hard life might have been in past, I have to move ahead. I have to make something substantial out of the life that I'm living right now. So I think that phase of class 7th and class 8th has been quite difficult for me back then. But right now, when I look back at it, it has only been an experience, a lesson for my own self, which I even look back to right now whenever I feel, let's say, a little bit down, like you talked about. So yes, I definitely have gone through that phase, and I believe that is the reason why I'm able to connect so much with the youngsters out here in the world, because I believe that in some way or the other, all of us have faced that, we can say that scenario and phase of anxiety and depression in our life, whether it might have been very elaborate or not. It might have been just a day or two wala case, or it might have been, let's say, years upon years wala case. That totally varies from person to person. But all of us have experienced that to some degrees in our life. So that is what I connect very well, because I myself have gone through that phase. So yeah, surely whenever I feel low in my life right now, I try just to look back at the lessons which I have learned and experienced in my own life back in the past.
Right. So, but what keeps you going all the time? What keeps you charged? What keeps you going?
It definitely would be the fact that I have this motto in my mind during whatever I am doing, whether it is about writing a story or delivering a talk or perhaps facilitating a workshop or something like that. That whatever voice I have, whatever potential I have, if I'm not using it for the greater good in the world, if I'm not impacting the life of the people around me, it will be of no use. If I'm just saying that, yes, I am good at public speaking, or yes, I'm good at writing stories, but I am not utilizing that for creating conversations or perhaps impacting the lives of the people around me, what good will actually it be of anyway? So I always keep this motto in my mind that I have to keep on going because I have to use my potential for the greater good of the society. So I think that is what keeps me alive and rejuvenated at every moment in my life.
Fantastic. So, what does success mean to Yash Tiwari?
Success means that you are getting better every day. Of course, there is no definitive definition of what success is or what betterment is. But let's say that you start working out today, and in 1 month from now on, people around you are not able to see you having a very well chest or perhaps a very attractive physique. But you yourself are able to see this slight increase in your weight or this slight increase in the muscle mass that you have put up. That is success, my friends. That is not something which perhaps people will be able to understand in the first go, but that is in the long run a form of a success. So as long as you are enhancing yourself, as long as you are bettering and improving yourself every day consistently, that means that you are becoming successful in your life. So that is what
Have you?
success is all about, becoming better.
Right. I think that makes sense. What about failure? Have you had any kind of failures that you would
Of
like to
course.
share with us?
See, all of us have those experiences of failure in some way or the other. Whether there is a very major one or not, I'll have to think about it a little bit. But still, in minor ways, all of us do face these failures on regular periods, I would say. In regular lives, there are certain instances, whether it is just about getting our Ola cab cancelled or perhaps something as substantial as a project not being approved by our academicians. Failure is once again subjective, just like success is. However, if a person out there is thinking that how do we truly navigate through those minor failures that we are facing regularly in our life, the only way to do that is to remind yourself that here you are not for the failures that you're facing. You are here to see the fruits of your, let's say, effort that you're putting right now in the long run. Perhaps you are putting in 100 amount of effort right now and only 40% of it is actually coming out as a successful result for you, and the rest of the 60% going the complete way regularly. But in the long run, if you just look at the bigger picture, one day very soon you will be able to reap the reward of your efforts. So that is what your focus should be on primarily, and not just the failures in your life, I would say.
Right. So, who has contributed to your life journey the most? What kind of people? What kind of stakeholders?
Contributed in
Your
what
life
way would you
journey,
say?
in your life journey, in who you are.
I think so. My family definitely would be on the top of that, because I say this in all of my interviews and sessions that I will not be able to do what I'm doing right now, or what might not have been possible to do all that I've done at this young age, had it not been because of the support and appreciation and encouragement and the push that I have received from my family. So for sure, they are, I would say, the biggest stakeholders in this journey that I have lived so far. Apart from that, of course, the people who have supported me, whether it is about the fan base or the dedicated supporters or the friends or all those people who have been there to appreciate me in this long journey, they all do hold some or the other place in my heart as well regarding the journey that I've lived so far, and even the one that I might be living from now on. But for sure, the family is on the top of that. The family is on the top of the food chain.
Right. So I think that's true for a lot of these champions of change, especially young champions of change. So Yash, what would be your message to parents of young champions of change, who are passionate and who want to make an impact on the society, want to they have ideas for action? What is your message to those parents?
All right. So, to parents, I would like to say, actually, I would like to cite a very, we can say, elaborate example about this particular question that you have asked. Let us take in a hypothetical scenario that there is a horse, a ghoda hai, and that horse has the potential to become the fastest running horse in the entire wide world. The fastest running horse from the past and even in the present world that there possibly can be. But the malik of that horse, the owner of that horse, only keeps that horse chained up for the entire day for the rest of his life. इस घोड़े का जो मालिक है वो उसको chained up रखता है पूरी जिंदगी के लिए. Now think about it that let's say from 10 years from now on or perhaps 20 years from now on, जब उस घोड़े को खोला जाएगा उस चेन से, do you think that that particular horse will have the potential and capacity to run as fast as he might be able to do right now? Of course not. I'm not trying to compare the horse with the children of now or perhaps the parents with the malik of now, but still that is just a hypothetical example that अगर आप अपने बच्चों को खुला नहीं छोड़ेंगे in order to let them do whatever they want to do, their potentials and their capacities in the long run, they will start decreasing. They will start dissipating in some way or the other. So for now, we need to understand that our youngsters have a great deal of potential. It is just a matter that we do have to let them utilize that potential to the best of their ability. If we are not going to let them do that, that all will go into vain. That all will go into vain, not just for them individually, but even for the society as a whole. So the only message which I would like to deliver to all the parents out there is that अगर जैसे कि मैंने कहा था कि अगर मैं भी आज कुछ कर पा रहा हूँ, it is because of the support of my parents. So let your children do that, and not just let them do that, but also push them in the journey. If you feel that your child has a passion or inclination towards something in particular, whether it is creative or not, it might be academic as well. Just try to push them and encourage them in the journey that they are living in right now.
Right. That makes sense. That's a good example. So, Yash, now you are also writing a book on COVID-19 and the pandemic.
I
but,
have
personally,
already.
you have already written, right? And it's released. So,
Yeah.
what do you think would be the major change, or just top three changes that you could spot that the maybe education wise or any way wise that is going to change after the pandemic?
Firstly, I think the people are going to start understanding the fragility of this world. Like, I'm not trying to narrate that point in a very negative way or trying to be very pessimistic about it. But now, finally, we have understood that in just a matter of past couple of months, not even years, but just a couple of months, the world has crumbled down in some way or the other. The world has fallen apart. The countries, even the most powerful countries all around the world, have fallen apart. So we are finally getting to understand about the fragility of this world. We are understanding that changes on a global level are necessary for our substantial and we can say sustainable development in the long run. Secondly, I would say the technology is something that now all the generations all alike are going to respect. Because I remember very distinctly that just a couple of months ago, people used to be very pessimistic and against how much the youngsters or the younger generations are depending upon the technology. But in just the past few months, we are able to understand that the entire world has been running, even when all of us are locked up in our houses, through the technological devices that we have or the technological platforms that we have to connect with one another. So we will now finally start appreciating the technological advancements all around the world, I would say for sure. Thirdly, I'm not sure how much this would change, but as far as I can see right now, social distancing on a healthier way, I would say, not as much as being always 6 feet apart from one another, but on a generalized manner, it will be something that people will start doing in their regular day-to-day life as well, in a healthy manner, in a way that we should have been doing since a very long time. I cannot see that very distinctly on the roads right now because the general masses are crowding and everything on the roads as I see on the roads. But still, in the long run, I feel that the major industries, whether we talk about the academic industry or the tourism industry or whatever we might talk about, the social distancing part is something that is going to get implemented in the long run for sure on a greater degree.
All right. Just one more point. You can add the fourth point. How do you think how is it going to change for the young students? Students of your age who are going for placements, who are going for what are the next career trends that you could spot? You know, if you could share
the
more
the
insights.
online freelancing for sure, because even right now I have so many classmates who were earlier very much reluctant about getting for those online internships and freelancing jobs when the things were quite normal, because they were so much caught up in their regular day-to-day academic obligations, whether it was about, let's say, 9 to 6 college days, or perhaps whatever it might have been. But right now I am seeing this inclination of the youngsters around me, my friends, and in general, about the online freelancing platforms that we do have on a great degree. But earlier we were not being very much, we can say, focused on those particular platforms, whether we talk about it career wise or just self development wise. So that is one thing which I am sure of, that the youngsters right now are focusing on, and they will focus on in future as well.
Wonderful. So now next question was, so Yash, you are our Rex Karanveer Youth Fellow. So how was your experience? If you would like to share a bit about that, and what do you think about our mission? And then next question I'd like to share now itself, so you can include it in your answer, which is what
Sure.
would be your message to our youth fellows and our future fellows? Then later
All
we
right.
can. Right.
Surely, definitely.
All right. Go ahead.
So the first thing about my experience being a Rex fellow, I would say that till last year, it might be applicable for a lot many young change makers who got the fellowship in the September month. Uh, the thing is that earlier I was thinking that if I am working in this particular field, I am doing something that is very unique, that is out of the box for sure. And I think that is what the Rex Karamveer Chakra Award has also been about. But when I got to meet everyone around me at the conclave last year, I got to understand that we have so many unique change makers around me who might be working for the very same goal that I'm working for, but in a much more unique manner. So one thing
Exactly.
that the conclave has surely taught me about is the fact that it is not just about one change maker or one youngster contributing a great deal to the society. It is about all of us coming together and contributing collectively to the world that we are a part of. Like, I remember that Jerry sir was also saying earlier that as a Rex Karamveer fellow, we are not just supposed to speak about getting change is contributed in the world or made in the world. We are actually supposed to contribute physically and cause those substantial changes to appear in the world as well. We need to collectively work together, and we need to work towards let's say, the sustainable development of the world in the long run. So for sure, one thing I have understood to a great extent since last year is the fact that all of us young change makers that you all have brought together, we do need to work together towards a better future for our forthcoming generations and even for the present generation that we are a part of. And what was the next question?
A message to the future young fellows.
Yeah.
And
So one message that I would like to deliver, actually two messages I have for all of you. Firstly, dream big and work hard no matter what the odds are. Because there are odds even in some of the greatest person's life, even for the most renowned authors or writers or public speakers or, let's say, social activists. There will be some or the other odd difficulty that they are fighting against. But they do not, let's say, give up, or they do not leave the fight. They keep on fighting, and at the end of the day, they reap the reward of their efforts. That is what you have to remember, that you have to dream big, and not just dream big, but also work hard towards all your aims that you might have, no matter what the odds might be surrounding you. And secondly, never consider your age as an obstruction or an obstacle in achieving what you want to achieve in your life. Like, if I'm saying that right now at the age of 18 I have authored 2 books, it is only because I can clearly keep this point in my mind, reminded 24/7, that no matter how young I might be, if I have the dedication towards whatever I want to do, I can do it. If I have the passion towards all my creative endeavors, I can make it possible in the real world. So that is what you have to remember, that you have to dream big, you have to work hard, you have to beat all the odds, and you have to remember that your age is never an obstruction, no matter how young you might be.
fantastic. Thank you, Yash. So, just 1 minute before Jay sir comes here and helps us to articulate the insights and speak to you. What
Sure.
is next for Yash Tiwari, and what else are you passionate about? You have 1 minute before Jay sir comes in.
So one cause that I am very passionate about is perhaps working socially towards the impoverished section of the society as well. Now, this is one cause which I have been inclined towards since a very long time, but I never got, we can say, a proper concept about how to begin regarding it. But right now, as I'm getting older and I'm getting on bigger platforms, I'm finally understanding how that can be done. And even after connecting with so many young change makers through Rex only, I am able to understand that how even at this young age, I can make my dream possible to contribute a great deal to the poor sections and the impoverished sections of the society as well. So this is one cause which I am very passionate about, and I surely see myself working towards in future. And yeah, anything else that you asked?
What else what's next for you? Any particular goals?
See, I cannot spoil all the ideas that I have in my mind right now, but for sure, I have a lot many, we can say, topical subjects, social matters, which I am right now conceptualizing about as we speak, which I might be writing a lot about, or perhaps speaking a lot about, or even starting some or the other form of project very soon. But that all is still in the very conceptualization stage, because right now I'm focused very extremely on this book which I have released, that is Pandemic 2020. So
Wish
that
you
is
all
the
the best.
primary focus for now. Thank you so
Sure,
much.
best.
And I will be very eagerly waiting for your reviews as well.
Fantastic. I will for sure. All right. So this is the time to bring in Jerry sir. So who is our Mojosh inspirator, and he's going to be articulating all the insights. And over to you, Jerry sir.
So namaste once again, Yash.
Namaste.
Very nice. I've been hearing in very closely to everything that you've been said. And yes, one of the things I want to start by saying is that the entire concept of the Rex Karmavir Global Fellowship and the offshoots like the Youth Fellowship or the Education Fellowship, Education Change Champions Fellowship, is that it's not just an award. It is a
Yeah,
responsibility to burden more responsibility, and do something more which makes a contribution which adds value for society. And that is the entire thing. And I'm very happy that you brought in that insight, that when you saw so many other change champions over there who have done much more or as much as you, it showed you that you're not the only one doing unique things. And I think that is one of the
exactly.
things, that is one of the big learnings, is that we all feel we are entitled because we are unique.
Yeah,
Anyway, but before I go into some insight sharing, and it's going to be a little hard for you because this is where I provoke thought, not just for you, but also
okay.
for other youngsters. Technological advancement, like you said, but unfortunately, nobody is focusing on natural advancement, right? We live in a very superficial world where we want to superficially show and project that we are something which we may not be, right? So, what do your parents do, Yash?
My father works in the Volleyball Association of India as the treasurer.
Okay.
Apart from that, my mother is a homemaker, but yeah, that is pretty much who they are.
So, the Volleyball Association of India, is that a government
Yes.
of India undertaking?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
I am not associated with volleyball at all. So please do not
Right.
ask any questions regarding that.
No, I won't. I'm only going to chuck the volleyball at you, right?
Sure.
Okay. See if you can play it back. All right.
All right.
Okay. And tell me what class are you in right now? What is the
So I've completed my class 12th last year, and right
class
now,
12th last year?
yeah,
Okay. And right now you are saying
right now I'm a BA in mass communication student at Jagran College, Kanpur.
at
First
Jagran
year.
College. This is the
First year.
Dainik Jagran
Yes, that is, that
group.
is.
Okay, very
Yes,
good. Excellent. I've done a talk for them some time ago. As you would know, I'm a
it's so
professional
great.
speaker, right?
Yes.
I speak as a professional and I charge a lot of money for that, right? And I also teach professional speaking, public speaking in companies to entrepreneurs and some youngsters like you in public forums. In fact, we are creating an online platform to teach youngsters.
That
But
is so great.
I'm very, very wary about teaching public speaking to people who want to just become public speakers for the sake of being seen on stage, because there are too many out there. And if you see I'm not on Instagram, but if you see any Facebook profile, you will see that almost every third or fourth guy and girl is a author, a TEDx speaker, right? This is what you see in the profiles. I've spoken in some TEDx's because they've paid me to speak, right? But I'm not a big TED fan any which way, right? Because I
Okay.
refused to speak in a TED forum around 2009, 2010, which is the main one in the US, because they wanted me to send an abstract of my speech and censor my speech because they had certain embargoes about you cannot speak against uh, genetic modification, you cannot speak against any wrongs which are happening, you cannot speak against anything which is political. So I said, then what have you left me to speak on? Because my entire
Mhm.
purpose of getting into public speaking, if you had put a gun to my head, like I was telling somebody yesterday, you would never find me speaking, because I would say you shoot me rather than speak, right? Because I couldn't speak to save my life. So I'm a public speaker by necessity. I taught myself public speaking on my own because I do a lot of crusading and activism, and the whole idea of public speaking for me is to influence people to know what is right and what is wrong, and that's why our slogan, right every wrong. So my question to you is, how does a person who's not a published author,
Hmm.
who's a self-published author, which you will see a lot happening on Facebook right now, they are all sponsored ads, I won't name anybody, but they're teaching you how to become a millionaire in 3 months, or a person who's not published a book. And when you say published author, I'm talking about a mainstream publication or a publishing house which has vetted your book, audited your book, and then chosen to publish your book and invest in you. Not a self-published book, which is happening with self-published firms. So how does a person who's not published a book from a publishing house, a traditional publishing house, teach people creative writing and how to get your book published by a publication? How does that happen? And I'm
That primary, yeah. May I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, firstly, for myself, the only
No, I'm
reason
not
why,
talking. I'm not talking about you. I've not even asked you
no,
whether you
not
published or not
myself.
published. And I don't
Yeah,
want to ask you that because I don't want to reflect on you. But I'm asking you that there are 10,000 people out there. I won't name people. I can name them also, right?
sure.
Like that there is some Adiyam books or something. The chap has never published a book in his life from a traditional publishing house, and yet he claims in his forum to teach people creative writing and how they can get their books published by a traditional publishing house. When I say traditional public publishing house, I'm talking about the Westlands or the Jaycos or the
Yeah, I
Penguins of the
understand.
world,
I
right?
understand. I
Not a
understand.
Notion Press or a self-publishing group. So I want your reflection on, generally speaking, how does that work? Because I find this to be a little bit of a
Yeah,
con,
sure.
right?
So I would give two answers on this question that you have asked right now.
Right.
Firstly, about the fact that if there is a person who has not traditionally published his book, and then that person is claiming that how can you publish your book traditionally? That is what I'm going to teach you. Of course, I cannot justify the actions of that particular guy, because even for me that sounds like a con. But
Right.
when we talk about teaching somebody creative writing, when we talk
Right.
about
Right.
teaching somebody or guiding somebody about creating stories, creating narratives, creating
Right.
characters, building up
Right.
characters,
Right.
trust me, that is not restricted within the four walls of being published with a well-known published house, or
Right.
perhaps let's say a self-publishing house. That is
Right.
not something which is even restricted within the four walls of becoming a published author. I
Right.
can assure you that I know a lot many youngsters, not just youngsters, but people around me who are great writers, who are phenomenal writers, but they are not publishing their book because they do not want to. So that does that mean that those people are not experienced enough to guide others about how to write? Of course not. If I see, for example, this friend of mine who does know how to write very, we can say, longer writings to really do impact me in some way or the other, but she does not intend to get them out in the world. However, she does read my work sometime and she gives her very valued feedback on that, that how can that particular thing be improved upon or perhaps enhanced a little bit. That in no way tells me that just because she is not published, she will not be able to give me a feedback that is genuine or perhaps that is valuable. So for me,
Right.
I wouldn't say that a person teaching
And he's done the Houdini again. I guess his network is really bad.
Right. He's back, I guess.
Yash, are you back?
can you hear? Hello?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
I cannot see Jerry sir right now, actually.
Yes, I have also done a Houdini on you.
He's right here. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So, yes, yes. So, as I was saying
Yes.
earlier, that a person claiming to teach others about how to write a book, or not just a book, that is a very, we can say, specific point,
And
but
and, and,
actually
and I
claiming
got
to
you.
teach others how.
I'm going to interject and cut that short because we have a little time left.
Sure,
My point being, I appreciate
sure.
that a person who has not been published by a mainstream publishing house can also have creative writing skills. But has that person checked
Yeah.
her or his creative writing skills? See, the whole idea is that, like I said, I find a lot of things like, this people who are teaching you how to become a millionaire in 3 months by putting in 90 minutes every day for 90 days. You become a millionaire. Then everybody would have been a millionaire, right?
Exactly.
Similarly, there is a
Exactly.
process of creative writing, right? And I won't even qualify to,
There
even though I'm a
definitely.
published author of some best-selling books, I don't think I would venture into teach anybody creative writing because I'm not a creative writer, right? I am a non-fiction writer.
Okay.
I'm a research writer,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And creative writing is, it's not just about conjuring thoughts that
No,
come to your mind, right? They have
not
to be
at all. Not
tried
at all.
and tested, and you got to take validation and feedback on that. Anyway, I will rest that insight with that because that's why I find them challenging, and that's why I didn't point this question at you, right? Because I like I said, I didn't want it to reflect on you. The other thing I find very challenging is that everybody loves the stage and the rangmanch, right? And
Yeah.
my point is that, but the reason I told you that, even with the online platform that we are creating, I've told the people with whom I'm associating who are creating the online platform, right? I'm purely the subject matter, the content, and the delivering and the teaching part, right? That we will vet students, especially the young students who want to become speakers, because it's like somebody who told me, I want to join the UN because it's a great lifestyle. If you want to become a public speaker because you want to, stand out there and get public adulation, first of all, you won't get the public adulation if you don't have the content, right? And secondly, you
Truly
may
said.
you may dazzle audience with razzmatazz, a designer suit, and some stylized thoughts, but then you end up making the audience feel more cheated after that euphoria is over, right?
True.
So I think this is an insight that, are you really adding value as a speaker? Because the whole idea is that how do you add value, whether it is a thought that you want them to live with for personal development or societal development. So there has to be a purpose. It's what the Greeks called as ethos, pathos, and logos. And if you're not really focusing on that, because oratory is not just about long speeches or stylized speeches. Oratory is about what are you giving the audience as a pure takeaway, which would make a difference in their life and a difference in their thinking, a difference in their mindset. How do you shift their mindset from what they are thinking, which is not positive, to a positive mindset? So I think that's the basic insight I want to share with you and people like you who want to become public speakers, that it's not just about the competence and the styling of being a public speaker. It's about the character that you add to being a public speaker.
Yes.
Failing which, Rahul Gandhi would have dazzled the audience in his interview with Arnab Goswami, right? It was a paid interview, right? They paid some crores of rupees for that interview. And he was coached by two big PR agencies, and yet he failed. If you don't understand what I'm saying or talking about, be very careful of this trap, right? Because, all this adulation and everything is fine, but, slowly when audiences start rejecting you, depression sets in, and that becomes your turning point then, because you can go from completely loving the stage to becoming completely a wreck, right? So there has to be a purpose and there has to be a pathos, right, behind what you do.
Surely
And I
agree.
think that's an
Definitely.
insight I want to leave all the young people out there and old people like me who want to become public speakers, that don't just look at
Exactly.
public
Because,
speaking as styling and
yeah.
becoming the next Tony Robbins. That's not the idea. The idea is, what is the value you are bringing to the table, and what is the value that you are giving people as a takeaway, that when they go back they say, oh man,
Surely.
that made a difference in my life, or that made a difference in my thinking. I think that is what it should be going forward. I remember I had this conversation with you at the fellowship also, when we spoke for 5 minutes or so. I think that
Yeah.
that we
And I want to pinpoint one particular fact that you have stated, that this is not just for the youngsters in particular, but for people from all walks of life and all age groups as well. Because I think
absolutely,
passion doesn't see the age of a person, passion or dedication doesn't see the background of a person. It finds even those people who might be very old or very young. A very old
absolutely,
person might also want to become a very, we can say, renowned public speaker or an impacting public speaker or an author. And the same is valid for a very young person as well. So it
absolutely.
goes both the ways. It goes for each and every person, we can say, all around the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the next big test is your test as a speaker is, are people ready to pay to listen to you? Never forget that.
Yes.
So sometimes when I get all
True.
these messages from people saying I'm in this webinar and that webinar, there's a webinar fatigue out there. And we started our webinars only last week, right? Because I mean, there were too many happening in the past 3 months, including a group where I said, can we have less of self-glory here and talk something about HR, right? Because it was
Mhm.
supposed to be a HR group. You were in that group too. And I left that group sometime in the night. Okay, I said, I don't want to be a part of this group. So I think it's all about that, it's not about self-glory and saying I'm speaking here and I'm speaking there. What is the value that you're creating for the audience? And the big test, are people ready to pay to listen to you?
True. That is
So I
true.
think I want to leave you with that insight, and that insight for all the youngsters like you and middle-aged people and old people like me, right? Ancient like dinosaurs. But the whole idea is that as a public speaker, oratory and rhetoric should not be taken lightly. It can
True.
not only change minds, it can change the world. It's been proven before, right? It's been proven by I Have a Dream. It's been proven by the best speech in the world, which is by Abraham Lincoln, which is the Gettysburg Address, right? And it was a very long speech, which was then cut short by Abraham Lincoln on his commute to the place where he was going, to Gettysburg. And he said, I just want to leave them with a thought, a powerful thought. And he cut it down to 272 words. That's your best speech in the world. And I think that speech makes all that difference. And what is that definite takeaway that you're leaving the audience with? How will that
True.
speech affect eternity? How will that speech affect the way the world will change for the future? I think that's what makes you a powerful orator. It's not about motivation, it's about inspiration. And that's why I always say I'm not a motivational speaker, I'm an inspirational orator. Because the whole idea is, how do you leave them inspired that they want to say, I want to act on this, I want to work on this. If you've not listened to the Gettysburg Address, it is on YouTube. Yash, I would urge you to listen to it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I will listen.
and I will share a nice video from the Intelligence Squared event where Jeremy Irons, who's your British musician and actor, actually
Okay.
recited the speech again, and they did an analysis on the speech. But what I'm trying to say is,
That is so great.
to conclude, my humble request to one and all, young, middle-aged, old people who want to get out there on stage, whether you're doing a TEDx talk or a Josh talk, doesn't matter. What matters is not about being on that stage, but what is the takeaway, what is the inspiration that you're going to create for the audience to change their mindsets, to change themselves so that they can change the world. So I think I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much. Yash, pleasure having you with us. Thank you, Nishant. Brilliant facilitation as usual. Any closing words from you?
All right. Thank you so much, Yash, for sharing your insights. And you do inspire a lot of people, and continue to do great work. Wish you all the
Thank you
best.
so much.
Right. Thank you, Jerry sir, for provoking
Thank
a
you.
thought always, and
Yes. Thank you.
the insights. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, everyone.
so I think the thought came from the small discussion that Yash and I had at the Rex Karmavir Youth Fellowship last year in October at IIT Delhi.
Indeed.
And I have not got a chance to interact with
Yes,
him
sir.
again, so we are interacting today. So I thought I would clarify
But
overall everything over
very
here.
soon.
And I
Hopefully we
hope
get to-
you got some good takeaway from that, Yash. Pleasure listening to you. Learned a lot from
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for your
so much.
time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir, for having me.
Any closing words from you, Yash?
As I said earlier, dream big and work hard no matter what the odds are.
And my love and regards to your parents for letting
Thank
you
you.
be who you are and become what you want to be.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
the best.
That really
Have a
means
great evening. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Namaste.